6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The government is to have certain agreement with IMF by the end of this month. The Tamil National Alliance says that it will support the president to form an all-party national government. People say that the QR system is a more flexible solution for more tourists, as it has already led to the reduction of long queues at filling stations. The Agriculture Minister decides to request the Cabinet to temporarily suspend importation of rice. First Kumbal Perahera of the Kandy annual Asala Festival will parade the streets today. News overseas, Al-Qaeda leader was killed in a US drone strike. In sports, Sri Lanka athletes will vie for events at the Commonwealth Games from today. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the discussions with IMF, which has been disrupted, would be finalized once there is a political stability in the country. In an interview with foreign newspaper, he said the Sri Lankan government is to have certain agreement with IMF by end of this month. The economic situation in the country is at its lowest level at present. However, it can be brought back to normal if there is political stability in the country. The Tamil National Alliance has announced that it will support President Ranil Wickremesinghe's efforts to form an all-party national government to help the country to recover from the worst economic situation. TNA leader and veteran Tamil politician R. Sambandhan told reporters that the move to form an all-party government is the best step to be taken right now, and his party will support to move. Another Tamil National Alliance spokesman said that the party has decided that the formation of an all-party government would be suitable in order to tackle the economic and political crisis that Sri Lanka is facing with. However, the TNA has not made a decision yet to take up a cabinet position in such a government. President Wickremesinghe last week wrote to members of parliament calling on them to join him to form a national all-party government to tackle the island nation's economic crisis. Minister of Urban Development Housing Prasanna Ranatunga says there is a reasonable time period should be allocated to President Ranil Wickremesinghe to build up the country by solving the current economic crisis. At a meeting held in Udugampala yesterday, he said the president was elected to office under the provision of the constitution. It is essential to have political stability and a stable government to obtain the help of the international stakeholders to solve the economic crisis. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has reduced the price of auto diesel by 10 rupees with effect from yesterday. Accordingly, the new price of the litre of auto diesel will be 430 rupees. However, the prices of all other fuel products will remain unchanged, the CP said. Sipetco further says that it is mandatory for all filling stations to only issue fuel through the National Fuel Pass, also known as a QR code system, already introduced by the Ministry of Power and Energy. Meanwhile, people say the QR system is a more flexible solution for more tourists, as it has already led to a reduction of long queues at filling stations. They request the government to maintain the system continuously in a more productive manner. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Minister Mahinda Amaraveera has decided to request the cabinet to temporarily suspend importation of rice since there are sufficient stocks of rice in the country. During a discussion with Seed Importers Association, the minister said that he expects to make a request to suspend rice importation until December. Harvesting in the Yala season has commenced. There are sufficient rice stocks in storage complexes which were brought following the permission given by the government. The minister said that the decision was taken to prevent rice mill owners from purchasing paddy in the Yala season for low prices. First Kumbal Perahera of the annual Asala Festival will parade the streets today. After a lapse of 3 years, the general public will be able to watch the pageant this year. Police request devotees who come to watch the historic Asala Perahera of Kandy, Sri Dalada Maligawa, to adhere health safety protocols. Senior Superintendent of Kandy Police, Chamil Kushant Ratnayaka, requested the devotees to follow health guidelines issued by the Director General of Health Services. Along with the police force of 5,000 officers, special forces and tribe forces have been deployed in the Perahera duty to ensure safety. And that's local news.
story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Litro Chairman Muditha Piri says the prices of Litro domestic LP gas cylinders will be reduced from Friday. He says that they will lower the price of gas by a greater amount than the recent increase in prices. Speaking to the media, the Litro chairman said according to the gas price in the global market, it is expected to be reduced by Friday. And that is top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
All government schools in the Nuwara district will remain closed today due to adverse weather conditions. The governor of the central province, Lalithu Gamage, says heavy rainfall had been experienced in most parts of the country, including the central province, since Sunday. And that was Watchlight.
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
Moving on to world news headlines. Al-Qaeda leader was killed in US drone strike. Driest July in England since 1935. New Zealand fully reopens borders after long pandemic closure. And those are the headlines. The US has killed the leader of the Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, in a drone strike in Afghanistan. President Joe Biden has confirmed. He was killed in a counter-terrorism operation carried out by the CIA in the Afghan capital Kabul on Sunday. Mr. Biden said Zawahiri had carved a trial of murder and violence against American citizens. Officials said Zawahiri was on the balcony of a safe house when the drone fired 2 missiles at him. England had its driest July since 1935, with parts having the least rainfall on record. The Met Office said, for some parts of the country, southeast and central southern England, last month was the driest July since records began in 1836. Most of the England now has low river levels, with serious impacts on farmlands, nature and wildlife. Water companies are warning that restrictions on household water use may be introduced. New Zealand's borders are fully opened for the first time since March 2020, when they shut in an effort to keep out COVID-19. Immigration authorities will now begin accepting visitors with visas and those on student visas again. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern called it an enormous movement, adding it was part of a cautious process. Most visitors will still need to be fully vaccinated, but there are no quarantine requirements. And that's world news. And moving on to development news, the Embassy of Italy in Colombo said Italy has decided to grant an emergency contribution to Sri Lanka worth €300,000 with a view to improving food security. The embassy said in a statement, the contribution will be channeled through the World Food Programme and will consist in the provision of the food assistance as well as in targeted cash transfers and the distribution of the vouchers to the most vulnerable. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Sri Lankan athletes will vie for events at the Commonwealth Games from today. Yupun Abekun is to participate in the 100-meter sprint event. Gayantika Aberatne will compete the 800-meter running event. English para-swimmer Alice Tai won Commonwealth gold in Birmingham on Sunday, just months after having a right leg amputated in January. The 23-year-old triumphed for England in the S8 100-meter backstroke at the Sandwell Aquatics Centre. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka's low-grown Ceylon teas prices rose to 1,639.42 rupees a kilogram in July, third week auction from the previous week's record of 1,629 rupees and 93 cents a kilogram. Industry data showed the currency collapsed steeply following mistargeted interest rates and the botched float with a surrender requirement. In the last week's auction sale on July 20th, low-grown averaged $4.54 a kilogram. And that was the business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
In economic news, headline inflation as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index increased to 60.8% in July 2022 from 54.6% in June 2022. The increase in inflation was driven by the monthly increase in both non-food and food categories. Accordingly, food inflation increased to 90.9% in July 2022 from 80.1% in June 2022. And that was economic news. And moving on to weather report. The Met Department says showery and windy conditions are expected to be continued in the western and southern sea areas and over the southwest quarter of the island with the strengthening of southwest monsoon. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamu's central, northern and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Heavy falls above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the aforesaid areas. Several spells of showers may occur in north-central province. And that's weather report. And to wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The government needs to have a certain agreement with IMF by the end of this month. The Tamil National Alliance says that it will support the president to form an all-party national government. People say that the QR system is a more flexible solution for more tourists as it has already led to the reduction of long queues at filling stations. The Agriculture Minister decides to request the Cabinet to temporarily suspend importation of rice. First Kumbal Perera of the Kandy annual Asala Festival will parade the streets today. And with that, we conclude this morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.